We had time to write it and rehearse it and work on it prior to recording, which we usually don't. We usually go into the studio and we have some ideas and some songs prepared, but for the most part it's get it together, rehearse it, arrange it, and then record it straight away.
We have the time now because of so many years of working like crazy, you know, on past things.
We decided with Hemispheres too that next album we'd like to do more of a Farewell to Kings type album with 6 or 7 separate things. And as it happened, that's the way the ideas came out too. Sometimes you can plan one thing, but if you have a certain type of ideas, then you're going to follow those rather than go by a preconceived pattern.
I think also because of the fact that Hemispheres took so long to do and took so much out of us, and it was really a draining album to do, that, you know, it was sort of enough. And we'd sort of taken that conceptual thing to its limit for the time being. And we all felt that we'd like to work on shorter pieces and something that wouldn't be that involved.
Why did you choose to get out of an urban centre to do it? Were you looking for something, or was it just because it was nice?
Just a place that we could stay in and work through the day and, you know, be there over an extended period of time. It's difficult to do in the city, really, unless you drive in and out every day, and that kind of takes the isolation out of it.
Unlike some hard rock groups, we don't need to be in the flash and swing of the city to put out an up-tempo or high-energy album.
I don't think that atmosphere really affects the music either in a way. It just gives you more concentration. There's nothing to distract you, so you can get about what you wanted to do in the first place, which is, for us, creating high-energy music. So it doesn't really matter if we're in the middle of a sheep field, if we have the time and the isolation to be able to do it.
Besides, Flesherton is just a wild place.
It's pretty wild.
Raging.
We had lots of fields and stuff where Alex could fly his airplane and
most intelligent cows, too.
Yeah, I understand your airplane was a big feature.
Big thing. Tell us a bit about your airplane, Alex.
What can I say? There were a series of horrible crashes, followed by a series of horrible crashes. And then some horrible repairs and some more horrible crashes. And I dreamt last night that I was flying in my model airplane. And ducks were following me, and little girls were flying in the air.
Excuse me, I'm getting a headache.
How big is your little model airplane?
Oh, it's small. It's got about a 3-foot wingspan. It's a little foam Cessna with knives sticking out the front.
How come you're such a terrible pilot?
Well, I do it for the guys, you know, so they get a kick. We get a big kick out of it.
There's some new technical effects on this album. You had a new interface machine. What does that do?
Well, what it does is, here's my big unit right here. What it does is enables me to trigger my gigantic synthesizer with my feet. And they're very large feet, I might add. So I get very large sounds. And it enables me to keep playing things on my bass and to have a little more intricate string arrangements in that I will be able to reproduce live. So it extends the flexibility of the band. It's texturally. As far as that goes.
Is there anything on this album that you won't be able to reproduce live?
The grand piano, the guy that does our covers, called Hugh Syme, he was out at the studio working on some photographs, and while he was there, we got him to play grand piano on one track.
The whole music industry is going primitive, new wave, minimal rock and roll. Do you care?
It is. I don't think it is.
I don't think it is. What do you think?
It is.
I don't think it is.
No, we don't think that it is.
There's certainly some,
Cross that one
certainly
out.
some bands that have gone back to basics kind of thing, but those are the bands that can't do anything but play basics. But all the real interesting new wave bands seem to be developing and progressing into more interesting styles. I wouldn't say that Talking Heads, for instance, were one of the major new wave acts. I don't think they're minimalistic at all. They're quite subtly complex.
And the new Boomtown Rats album, too, the production of it and the music is very progressive, very complicated arrangements and all kinds of subtle effects in it and stuff. It's just the same thing we were doing a few years ago, you know? It's just a different period.
Yeah, it's definitely a positive thing, though, I feel. It's really giving, adding a spark to what was becoming a complacent industry.
When you first started out, the Canadian music industry didn't have time for you. And now you're the biggest rock and roll band in Canada. Do you feel bitter about that? Or how do you feel about it?
Just, you have to say, I think it feels good to be right. Other than that, there's no resentment or bitterness.
No, I don't
Who
care.
cares about those fools?
Give me another drink.
I mean, it's kind of petty to, you know, to dwell on it. It was just the way the industry was at the time, you know. I mean, it wasn't any different for any other band that was playing at the time. You know, we just happened to be very fortunate and to have a management company that could push us in another direction when Canada said no and the United States said yes. So, I mean, every musician working in Canada has experienced the same thing for sure. It's just the way the industry was at the time in this country.
You have a reputation for encouraging younger bands. Are there any young bands at the moment under your wing, as it were?
Under our wing?
Well, good.
Well, good.
Well, I just, you know, we've taken a lot of Canadian bands on the road with us. We've taken Max Webster on the road with us. We've taken April Wine on the road with us. You know, various groups. And recently, I've produced an album by a local band called Wireless.
This is a plug. His book is coming out.
This is a plug for a Wireless album. They've been friends of mine for a long time, and it just came up the opportunity to help them out in the studio, so I did. So, I guess from that point of view, we help other bands, I guess.
I understand your road crew is a band in its own right.
Yes, the Fabulous Projectors. Watch for it.
In your stores soon.
Coming to your town.
Yeah, they recorded a record while we were recording our record. They recorded on a little cassette player, and we bumped it up into 24 track and fixed it up a bit. Sounds cool.
Great. You guys share the same management company as Max Webster, but your relationship, it goes a little beyond that, I understand. You're all mates.
Yeah. We've worked with him a lot, done so many shows with Max across Canada and in the States as well, and in Europe last time they came over with us. So we become just like old friends.
Are they any good at volleyball?
Yeah, not
Yeah,
bad.
they are.
Not bad.
Real
Stixie's
good.
hot.
Yeah.
They came up to the studio and played with us one night, and pretty hot
Heidi Wise
players.
got a mean serve.
Yes, Pi's got an
Good
excellent
punch.
overhand serve. Quite different from the rest of us.
Yeah,
They all
interesting
serve underhand. He's got the slap, the overhand.
You did what every young Canadian basement band dreams of. I mean, you actually did it. You got out of the basement, and now you're, you know, one of the world's major headliners, all that kind of stuff. How far do you feel from those kind of kids now?
That's a hard question. It's hard to gauge that, you know.
It's like saying how far do I feel from myself when I was 18? You know, a long way, obviously. Still the same in some ways.
We definitely try to keep in mind who we play for and why we're playing. I think as long as we maintain the idea and remember why we're here, then we're very much in tune with those people.
A lot of times we make a decision based on how we would feel at the time when we were 17 or 18 and a fan of a band.
Yeah, we're still fans too. I mean, there's still bands that we go crazy over, and still lots of concerts that we like to go see, and so I think there's still quite a point of relation to that.